And so if there isn't a deal that's done before the election and other items dominate, for example, the Supreme Court nomination, which will take up a lot of political oxygen, there will have to be, and I'm sure there will be a lot of attention on where we're at, both on the economic and public health side. Because I do think that is the risk, that if things do take a turn for the worst, we don't want to be in a situation where Congress and the White House are paralyzed and can't address the situation because they're in a lame duck period. There are two major plans that started in the negotiation. The Democratic HEROES Act was the beginning of the negotiation that was passed in May by the House, and it's a little north of $3 trillion. The Senate Republicans came back and introduced their own legislation, that is the HEALS Act, which is a smaller bill targeted at support for education, for vaccines, for unemployment insurance compensation. And the subsequent negotiations have all been about how to close the gap between those two bills, which originally was on the order of a few $1 trillion and is now somewhere about $500 billion. There's been an impasse in negotiations, both between the Speaker, House Democrats, as well as on the White House side, Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury, as well as Mark Meadows, the White House Chief of Staff. House Democrats were asking for roughly $900 billion of aid for state and local governments over 3 fiscal years. That was based on a few estimates of both state and local shortfalls between fiscal 2020 and 2022. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans were thinking of about a much smaller amount, potentially in the range of $200 billion, or even just increasing flexibility for that CARES Act funding that had already been passed in the spring. And that's a pretty big driver of the difference between those two packages. And then the other area of disagreement, of course, is on the unemployment insurance. Democrats would like to see a continuation of that $600 a week benefit or something closer to it. The White House and Republicans are more interested in a lower benefit, something closer to $300. And that's mostly because of the replacement rate issue. And the big thing overarching the unemployment insurance disagreement is that there's still a big technological problem and challenge with states being able to target their unemployment insurance benefits at the amount of wages that folks actually earn prior to becoming unemployed. And so that would actually be a pretty neat solution, in that it would allow those benefits to just replace directly the amount of money that was lost because you lost your job. Instead, you have to argue over a flat amount, which might benefit some folks over others in terms of relative to the amount of replacement they're getting for their wages. There is broad agreement about the potential for direct payments, so modeled very similarly or almost exactly to the CARES Act stimulus payments of $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for those filing jointly based on your income level, with $500 for dependents. That was something that was contained both in the HEROES and HEALS Act, and something that could be included in a potential final deal.
Invest in you. Ready, set, grow. CNBC and Acorns.